The studio lights blazed, washing the Kelly Clarkson show set in a warm glow. The audience buzzed with anticipation. Their chatter a low hum as cameras slid into place. Kelly Clarkson sat poised on the edge of her chair, her trademark smile bright, though her eyes scanned the stage with practiced sharpness. The crew had been preparing for this for weeks. This wasn't just any episode. Jennifer Lopez, global superstar, was about to walk on. The air crackled. Something beneath the surface simmered, an unspoken tension only a few in the room could feel. The stage manager signaled. The crowd erupted as Jennifer stepped out, radiant in a tailored white suit that shimmered under the lights. Her presence filled the stage, every step deliberate, her smile polished but carefully guarded. The two women exchanged a quick hug, more performance than warmth, and took their seats. The audience quieted, waiting for Kelly's trademark charm to kick in. But already, something felt off. Jennifer. "It's so good to have you here," Kelly began brightly, her tone carrying a subtle edge. "You've been everywhere lately. New music, new films, that unforgettable Super Bowl performance. How do you keep up with it all?" A softball question. But Jennifer's response was clipped, her smile tight. "You just do," she said flatly, crossing her legs. "You push through. That's the grind." The audience chuckled politely. Kelly's brow furrowed. She sensed the deflection. "Sure," she pressed, still smiling, "but there's got to be a secret. Family, career. The spotlight, how do you balance it all?" Jennifer's eyes flickered. Irritation, gone as quickly as it came. "There's no secret," she said coolly. "You make choices. You prioritize. Not everyone understands that." The words landed sharper than intended. Kelly tilted her head, her smile faltering just slightly. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Something was brewing. "Choices, huh?" Kelly tapped her chair lightly. "Care to share what choices you've been making lately?" Jennifer adjusted her jacket, her posture stiff. "I think people know what I've been working on. The films, the brand. It's all out there." "Right," Kelly said, her gaze fixed. "But I mean personally. You've shared so openly before. Relationships, kids. Fans love that authenticity. Anything new you want to share?" The question hung in the air. A trap, whether intentional or not. Jennifer's jaw tightened. Her voice dropped. "I don't think that's what we're here to talk about." The audience shifted, picking up the change in tone. Kelly, momentarily caught off guard, tried to pivot. "Fair enough. Let's talk about the new album. It feels so personal, almost like you're working through something. Can you dive into that?" Jennifer leaned forward, her voice nearly a whisper. "Kelly, not every song is a diary entry. Sometimes it's just art." The rebuke cut clean. Kelly's smile froze. The director signaled for a commercial break, but Kelly waved it off. Her instincts told her this was bigger than a segment. "I get that," she countered softly. "But your fans feel connected to your story. They want to know what's behind the art." Jennifer's laugh sliced through the silence, sharp and fleeting. Uneasy murmurs rippled through the audience. Kelly held her composure, but Jennifer's stare was unrelenting. The cameras zoomed closer, catching the flicker of defiance in her eyes, the way her shoulders squared like she was bracing for a fight. "Okay," Kelly said lightly, though her tone carried steel. "Let's pivot. Your new album has this raw energy. I heard some tracks came out of a pretty intense time in your life. What inspired that?" Jennifer's smile was gone. Her stare was cool, measured. "You keep circling back to my personal life, Kelly. I'm here to talk about the work. The music. The film. That's what matters." The audience murmured again. Kelly laughed thinly, raising her hands in mock surrender. "Fair point. I just know your fans eat up the stories behind the music, like break the silence. It's so intense. What sparked that one?" Jennifer leaned forward, elbows on her knees. The spark. Life. Struggle. Things you can't condense into a sound bite. You of all people should understand that. The jab landed. Kelly's smile faltered. The audience gasped. For the first time they saw it, Jennifer wasn't playing along. Kelly steadied herself, her voice even. I do understand. I've had my own struggles, and I share them. That's why I'm asking. People connect to the real stuff, Jennifer. The deliberate use of her name hit like a challenge. The tension thickened. Jennifer's fingers tightened on the armrest. Maybe because not every moment needs to be dissected for public consumption. Maybe some things are just mine. The room went still. Kelly tilted her head, her voice softer but unwavering. I hear you. But you're in the spotlight, same as me. People want to know who you are, not just the polished version. Jennifer's eyes flashed. For a moment, it looked like she might stand up and walk off right then, instead of walking off. Jennifer leaned back in her chair, arms crossing like a shield. Her voice dropped, low and cutting. You think you know me because you've read the headlines. You don't. The words hit like a strike. Kelly's jaw tightened, her warmth slipping into something steelier. I'm not saying I know you, she replied evenly, her voice steady but edged. I'm saying your fans want to. That's why they're here. She gestured toward the audience. The crowd clapped uncertainly, caught between support and discomfort. Jennifer didn't acknowledge them. Her gaze stayed locked on Kelly, a silent challenge. The director, sensing the show teetering on the brink, finally called for a break. Lights dimmed, cutting to commercial. But the real drama began off mic. The studio erupted into murmurs as crew members darted around. Jennifer sat rigid, her stare fixed past the camera's arms crossed tight. Kelly leaned back with a taut smile, fingers drumming her knee in a restless rhythm. You don't get to push me like that, Jennifer said quietly, her voice sharp enough for nearby crew to hear. Kelly arched a brow, her response calm but firm. I'm doing my job, Jennifer. You signed up for this. The words lit a spark. A stagehand hovered nervously, unsure whether to step in. But before the exchange could ignite, the director's voice crackled back in 5, 4, 3. The lights blazed on. Applause roared. The audience oblivious to what had just simmered beneath the surface. Kelly straightened, slipping her smile back on like a mask. Welcome back, everybody, she said brightly, though the strain leaked through. We're here with the incredible Jennifer Lopez, talking music, movies, and everything in between. The audience clapped, but the energy was cautious now. Jennifer uncrossed her arms, loosening slightly, but her eyes stayed fixed on Kelly, her expression guarded. So, Kelly continued, careful but probing, let's dive into your new film. It's a big departure, gritty, intense. What drew you to it? Jennifer leaned forward, exhaling a subtle release of tension. Her tone was measured, controlled. It's a story that matters. About real people, real pain. Not some glossy fantasy. I wanted to do something true. The words were polished, rehearsed. But there was an edge, aimed at Kelly. That's powerful, Kelly replied, her smile tight. And it's got people talking. Especially that one scene, where your character just breaks. Was that hard to tap into? Jennifer's eyes narrowed. She caught the subtext immediately. Kelly wasn't just asking about acting. She was circling back to the personal, to the vulnerability Jennifer had already shut down. It's acting, Jennifer said flatly. You find the truth in the moment. You don't have to live it to show it. The audience clapped lightly. Kelly wasn't satisfied. She tilted her head, her eyes glinting with both curiosity and defiance. Sure, but you bring so much of yourself to your roles. That scene felt personal, like you were pulling from something deep. Am I wrong? For a flash, Jennifer's composure cracked. Frustration flickered across her face. You're reaching, Kelly, she said, her voice low and cutting. Not everything I do is a window into my soul. Sometimes a role is just a role. The audience murmured, sensing the clash. Kelly leaned forward undeterred, her tone soft but her words sharp. I'm just saying, your work hits harder when it feels real. Fans feel that. Don't you think they deserve to know what's behind it? The question landed like a gauntlet. Jennifer's eyes blazed. She leaned back, arms crossing again. Her voice cold. They get my work. That's what they deserve. Not my life on a platter. The room went still, her words dropping like a weight. Kelly opened her mouth to respond. But Jennifer cut her off, her voice rising just enough to command the space. You want to talk about real? Let's talk about how you keep digging, trying to turn this into something it's not. The accusation hung between them, sharp and heavy. Kelly's smile vanished. Her eyes locked with Jennifer's, a silent standoff that froze the entire room. The silence was deafening, a pause so heavy it seemed to drain the oxygen from the room. Jennifer's words lingered like a blade between them. Her eyes locked on Kelly's with an intensity that made the audience collectively hold its breath. Kelly, normally quick with humor to break tension, sat frozen for a beat, her face caught between shock and defiance. The cameras drank in every detail. The twitch of her jaw, the way Jennifer's fingers curled tighter against the armrest. Behind the scenes, crew members exchanged frantic glances. The director's urgent whisper hissing through headsets hold the shot. Kelly broke first. Her voice was calm, but beneath it ran steel. I'm not twisting this into something it's not, she said evenly, her gaze unflinching. I'm asking the questions my audience wants answered. That's the job. A ripple went through the crowd, some nodding, others shifting uncomfortably. Jennifer's lips curved into a cool, mocking half-smile. Your audience, she said slowly, voice edged with disdain, didn't come here for therapy. They came for a show. Not an interrogation. The jab stung. Kelly's warmth hardened in an instant. I'm not interrogating you, she shot back, her voice rising despite herself. I'm trying to have a conversation. You're the one slamming the door. A gasp scattered through the studio. A few brave claps broke the silence, half cheer, half nervous release. Jennifer's smile vanished. She leaned forward, her voice a low warning. You want a conversation? Then stop pushing for something I'm not giving you. The tension was razor thin, the set teetering on the edge. From the booth, a producer signaled cut to commercial, but Kelly gave the slightest shake of her head. Not in her house. All right, Kelly said, softening her tone but not her resolve. Then let's talk about what you are giving. Your fashion line. Bold, fearless. What's the story there? A lifeline, a pivot. But Jennifer didn't take it. She leaned back, arms folding like armor. Her voice, cool and precise, landed like a dart. It's about owning who you are. No apologies. Something you might want to try sometime. The audience erupted with a collective ooh, the sound rolling through the studio like a wave. For a moment, Kelly faltered, hurt flickering across her face before she disguised it with a sharp laugh. Oh, I own who I am, she said, her tone controlled but her eyes blazing. But my job is to connect with people, not just sell them something. You came here because you want that connection, right? Jennifer's eyes narrowed. She leaned forward, her voice sharp enough to cut. I'm here to share my work, not my life, not my scars. My work is enough. The crowd was fully locked in now, their whispers rising like static. Kelly's patience thinned. She leaned closer, her tone firm, deliberate. Nobody's saying you owe anyone your soul. But when you sit here, people expect a piece of you. That's the deal. Jennifer's head snapped, her voice sharp with disbelief. The deal, she spat. I don't make deals with my life, Kelly. I'm not serving myself on a platter for ratings. The words cracked through the air like a slap. Gasps, cheers, chaos. Kelly's expression hardened. The warmth gone, replaced by a steely glare. She opened her mouth to retort, but Jennifer moved first. Her chair scraped against the stage with a jarring screech as she stood. The sound echoed like a warning shot. The audience gasped in unison, the white of her suit blazing under the stage lights as she squared her shoulders. Fury radiated off her in waves. Kelly froze mid-breath, gripping her chair as though bracing for impact. Keep rolling. The director barked. Jennifer stepped toward the edge of the stage, each click of her heels ringing with finality. Kelly found her voice urgent but steady. Jennifer. Wait. Let's talk this out. Jennifer stopped, one hand on her hip, head tilted just enough to meet Kelly's eyes. Her voice was low, biting. Talk it out. You've been talking enough for both of us. The crowd exploded in a mix of gasps and cheers, torn between awe and discomfort. Kelly's jaw set. She rose now, too, her voice sharp, unwavering. I'm doing my job, my show, my rules. You came here knowing exactly what this was. If you can't handle a real conversation, that's on you. The audience roared, half cheering, half jeering, energy spiraling. Jennifer's eyes flared, but instead of unleashing her fury, she did something colder. She reached for her mic, unclipped it with a swift, deliberate motion, and let it dangle against her suit. The faint thud of it hitting her side boomed through the studio speakers like the strike of a gavel. The room fell into stunned silence. I'm done playing, she said, her voice steady. Finally. The audience erupted, a wave of noise breaking over the stage, some shouting her name, others begging her to stay. But Jennifer's eyes were locked on the exit, her steps deliberate, her heels striking like punctuation as she moved toward the wings. Jennifer. Come on, Kelly called after her, her voice raw with disbelief. You don't have to do this. But the words dissolved into the roar of the crowd, powerless against the gravity of the moment. Jennifer didn't slow. She didn't turn. Her silhouette, sharp against the stage lights, vanished into the wings, swallowed by shadow. The cameras kept rolling. Kelly stood alone, caught in the glare, her hands frozen mid, gesture as if trying to hold on to a moment already gone. The director's voice cracked through the crew's headsets. Stay on her. Don't cut. Milk it. The lenses zoomed in tight, catching the flicker of shock in Kelly's eyes before she forced a brittle smile. Well, folks, she said finally, her voice steadier than her face. That was unexpected. The crowd gave a nervous laugh, clapping unevenly, whispering furiously. Kelly pulled in a deep breath, her professionalism sliding back into place like armor. We're going to take a quick break, but stick with us. We've got more to come. The lights dimmed. Commercial calls. Offstage, Jennifer was already moving fast, her heels clicking sharp against the concrete. A stagehand hurried after her with a water bottle she waved off. Her team was waiting in the green room, springing up as she entered, their faces caught between alarm and damage control. What happened out there? Her manager pressed. Jennifer didn't break stride. She snatched her phone from a table, her gaze fixed on the screen as though the world around her didn't exist. I'm not doing this, she said flatly. She crossed the line, and I'm not here for it. The words landed like a gavel. Silence fell. Her team exchanged glances, but no one dared push. Meanwhile, Kelly was back in her dressing room, collapsing into a chair as her crew hovered. She didn't have to go there, she muttered, raking a hand through her hair. You handled it. Her producer insisted, pacing. The audience ate it up. Kelly's eyes, distant, betrayed no relief. It wasn't supposed to go like that. I wasn't trying to corner her. I just wanted something real. But damage control was already spinning. The internet wouldn't wait. When the show returned, Kelly's smile was brighter, her tone warmer, but the air was thinner, heavier. All right, y'all, she said, voice just shy of convincing. We're moving on, because that's what we do. The audience clapped, but their phones glowed in their laps, buzzing with alerts. The energy had shifted. Jennifer's absence sat heavy, a storm cloud that wouldn't clear. Outside, Jennifer's car pulled from the studio lot. She stared out the tinted window, phone buzzing with calls she ignored. They'll spin it however they want, she said quietly to her assistant. Let them. I know my truth. The city lights blurred past. The ripple effect had already begun. By the time the episode aired, social media was ablaze. Every pause, every look dissected, the clash turned cultural moment. Back in her dressing room, Kelly scrolled through the early reactions, her face unreadable. The show had gotten its headline, but at a cost neither woman had anticipated.